From the first note, the sound of bagpipes can cause the stirring of emotion. While you may typically see bagpipers at a parade, teams often participate in serious competitions. And we happen to have the world champions right in our backyard.
The Pasadena Scottish Pipes and Drums, also known as the Pasadena Scots, been around since 2006. We're a bagpipe and drum band based in Pasadena, and we're dedicated to the preservation and instruction of Scottish music. So we teach bagpipes and drums here, and we've got two bands. We've got a grade 3 band and a grade 5 band. The grades speak to the level of band, the amount of members, and the difficulty in the musical selections that we have to compete with across Southern California, the West Coast, and the world. We have two bands. The thing that's cool about our band, and I think most pipe bands, is that we attract people from all walks of life. It's a wide range and a wide gamut of different life experiences, and it's an amazing group of people, and that's, I think, why we do it, is because we get to be with such a diverse array of people all the time. So the history of the pipes started as just like a single chanter. We call the part that you play the melody on the chanter. That was played, somewhere in, it's either, some people say it started in Egypt, or it started in the Middle East, or it started in Greece, but definitely not in Scotland is, I think, the takeaway there. People just played melodies like on this one piece of wood with a reed at the end of it, and then somebody was like, well, it'd be awesome if there was like accompaniment, like some kind of drone or like some bass note that could be played against it. So they added a pipe to it, and they're like, well, the droning has to stop at some point because you can't blow two things at the same time. So someone's like, well, let's just add this dead animal hide and just tie the pipes to it, and then it can like act as a reservoir. And they're like, oh, but then there's air coming back into my mouth and I'm blowing into the bag. And someone said, okay, well, you can take some more dead animal and put a flapper valve at the end so that the air doesn't come back into your mouth. And then somehow this got to Scotland, probably through war. And then when it got to Scotland, they're like, well, why do you have only one drone? Like, you should add like 2 or 3. It needs to be louder. So then like they added more, and I think over time it got refined, and we're left with this really loud, crazy instrument that we know as the Great Highland Bagpipe. To become a very skilled bagpiper, and not a master of the instrument by any means, is a lot of dedication, time, perseverance, like not being discouraged by not sounding the way you want to, or not sounding like the people that you're listening to sound like. And I think it just takes an open mind as well, because I think that speaks to the success of this band, is everybody in the band is very open-minded. When we have instruction come, when we have coaches come in, everyone leaves their ego at the door and says, you know what, you have a lot to teach us, and you're passing along this tradition that's a difficult tradition to pass on. The first year the band started, we had the amazing opportunity to travel to Beijing as part of the Sister Cities project. It was amazing. We played concerts. We got to play on the Great Wall, and I mean, going to Beijing, period, and being a pipe band in Beijing is amazing. So the pipe band community is always, I think, driven by competition, whether it's solos or bands, or even like outside of the musical part of Scottish culture around the world. Like there's Highland dancing competitions. So everything's very competitive. But we do parades, we do lots of gigs that help the band, make ends meet, because it's an expensive activity. Recently we went to the World Championships in Glasgow, Scotland, which is an annual Olympics or Super Bowl of pipe bands. There's 215 to 50 bands from around the world that all converge on one piece of grass on one day. And everyone in the band, and the grade 3 band, this is the band that made a huge push and put in hours and hours and hours and hours of time. And there was 2 heats of about 12 bands, and we played in the morning. We then had to wait in agony for the results to know if we made it in the top 6 of that heat. So the top 6 bands from each heat play in the finals. And ours came up, I think, 9th, and I think all of us almost passed out. I don't know of what, but we were just it was the anticipation of waiting, seeing our name. It was exciting. And then, a few hours later, you have to get your instruments back out, tune them up again, play in the final against the top, 11 other bands in your grade in the world. So, that was, it was high stake. We went to results a few hours later after they said first place, and saying Pasadena after. I'm sure everyone, including the people from the UK, were like, where's Pasadena and who's Pasadena? So it was super exciting. We were all to hear that the city name, Pasadena Scots, in the UK, we'll never forget that. I don't think anybody could forget what happened when we heard our names.